Before the Iron Throne, before the Seven Kingdoms, before the kings of Westeros, this land belonged to something far older. Long before men ever set foot on Westeros, the vast lands of this continent were ruled by an ancient race known as the Children of the Forest. The Children of the Forest were small in stature, but their knowledge of nature and magic was beyond anything the world had ever seen. They lived deep within the forests of Westeros, hidden beneath the ancient trees that covered the land. To them, the forests were sacred, the rivers were alive, and the land itself was part of their world. Among these forests stood the great weirwood trees, ancient white trees with faces carved into their bark. The children believed these trees were connected to the old gods of the world. For thousands of years, the Children of the Forest lived in peace across the lands of Westeros. But that peace would not last forever. Far across the narrow sea, a new people were beginning to rise. These people would one day travel west, searching for new lands to claim. They would come to be known as the First Men. Thousands of years ago, the First Men crossed into Westeros through the lands that would later become Dorne. With them came bronze swords, horses, and the tools of war. But they also brought something else, a hunger for land. The First Men began cutting down the great forests of Westeros to build farms, villagers, and strongholds. To the Children of the Forest, this was nothing less than the destruction of their world. And so, war came to Westeros. The Children of the Forest fought with ancient magic and the power of the forests themselves. The First Men fought with bronze blades, strength, and numbers. For centuries, the war between the First Men and the Children of the Forest ravaged the lands of Westeros. Forests burned, rivers ran red with blood. But over time, both sides began to understand something terrible. If the war continued, neither side would survive. And so, after centuries of bloodshed, the two sides finally agreed to meet. Their meeting took place on a sacred island in the middle of a great lake. This place would later become known as the Isle of Faces. There, beneath the ancient weirwood trees, peace was finally forged. This agreement would forever be remembered as the Pact. According to the Pact, the forests would remain with the Children of the Forest. The open lands would belong to the First Men. From that day forward, the First Men also began to worship the old gods of the forest. The weirwood trees became sacred places where they would pray to these ancient gods. Through these trees, it was believed the old gods could see everything. Even today, the silent faces carved into the weirwood trees are said to remember all that has happened. After the Pact, a fragile peace finally settled across Westeros. The First Men began spreading across the continent, building villages and kingdoms. The First Men began spreading across the continent, building villages and kingdoms. New legends began to rise across the lands. This era would later be remembered as the Age of Heroes. But even during this time of heroes, darkness was beginning to stir in the far north. A darkness that would one day bring the long night. And with it, the greatest threat the world had ever known. This was the beginning of the long and brutal history of Westeros. The beginning of a story that would one day lead to the Game of Thrones.